what we realized is that as a kid, there were a lot of traits that were there that have gotten taken away, over time.
Or that we've forgotten.
Yeah, because we don't exercise it.
It's still in there, I think.
Yeah.
It's just we haven't used it for so long, right? Like, as a kid, you're fearless, nothing scares you.
You're the one that wanted to do the podcast.
Yeah.
Right. Initially. And I wanted to support you, but
you were very hesitant.
But I was very hesitant. It took quite a bit of time for me to muster up this courage to actually go through with it.
You hit it on the head with the dreaming big. For some reason, as we get older, we do stop dreaming big. We do stop believing that anything is possible.
Welcome to the Magnetic Mismatch Show. This is Linda.
And this is Will. And I'm a little hyper because this is my second coffee today.
We were sleepy earlier because we had a pizza.
Oh my God, that was so good.
Yeah, delicious. We've been talking about it for months.
Every freaking night.
Yeah.
Like drooling over pizza and just like all the food that we're going to eat. It's so crazy because we'll end up staying up like an extra hour or two.
talking and looking at food.
That's so ridiculous. Oh my. I wonder if other couples do this.
It's kind of embarrassing.
Dude, why are you
admitting this?
Yeah, this is supposed to be secret. You guys didn't hear anything. You didn't hear that. That's a total foodie for sure.
Yeah. We're looking at which restaurant offers curbside pickup. What do we want to eat for next week? What should we cook next week?
Yeah, what are some childhood
dream snacks?
What now that you can cook whatever you want and make any meal, go for it, right? Which ones do you want? You're making every dish actually that I've been requesting, so I do appreciate that.
You're welcome.
But speaking of childhood, our topic today is a fun one.
Yeah, what traits would you like to regain from your childhood?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
I think it came up because, as we went through our self-development journey and kind of revisit some of the limiting beliefs that we have and things that were holding us back from reaching our dream, or the life we're dreaming of. We realized that a lot of these things stems from things that happened along the way from childhood to adulthood, right? Because what we realized is that as a kid, there were a lot of traits that were there that have gotten taken away, over time.
Or that we've forgotten.
Yeah, because we don't exercise it.
It's still in there, I think.
Yeah.
It's just we haven't used it for so long, right? Like you said.
Yeah.
So let's answer that individually. I would love to hear what childhood traits Linda had that you want to regain as an adult.
The work that I do now, it's very, it's very kind of rigid. Right? Because we need things to be very precise and accurate. Accuracy is very important. But the one thing about me, even as a child, is that I was very creative. I love creating stuff. And even I was the kid with the creative science fair board. I was the kid that's always redesigning my clothes. And I was a crazy kid that my mom used to yell at me all the time. Is that I used to cut my own hair.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Why don't you do that now?
Well,
Well, that's one of the things you're trying to regain back, or what?
Well, I'm not cutting my own hair right now. That's not what I'm trying to do. But I was very creative. Like even my Barbies, I would redesign the clothes. I would recut the hair.
I could totally see that.
I would dye my Barbie skin.
Yeah.
I was the the kid that I was always just revamping things.
Wait, hold up. What do you mean like dyeing the skin? Did you change the color of the skin?
Yeah, I used to make his makeup and make it a little bit like, like
softer,
yeah,
or
like
color.
A little deeper, a
Just
little bit yellower.
Yeah,
not to mess with it. I wanted the Barbie to look more like me. Like,
yeah,
because
before.
Yeah, they didn't have an Asian Barbie back in the day.
Right.
All the Barbies look the same. So
wow, that is pretty creative. And what would you do with your clothes? Because you said you would like design your own little jeans and stuff, or what?
Yeah, I would put like studs on there, rhinestones.
Yeah,
I would make little cuts.
Yeah.
And for the Barbie's clothes, I would take pieces of fabrics for my clothes and like just, I don't know, make straps for it. I don't know, just like random little things. So I was very creative. So that's what I think I kind of missed as an adult. I stopped exercising that creativity because we don't have art class, or time became limited. That's because I didn't make it my priority.
Sure.
That's a me problem.
And I think you didn't realize how important that was to you.
Yeah.
Right.
It was just something that I did as a kid.
Yeah.
Right? I loved it.
Yeah.
And I always looked at, magazines and, make little collages of how things would fit together and designs. But, it comes from, I think the creativity comes from my mom too. She's a very creative person. She's used, one of her jobs when we first moved to America was she used to be a pattern maker.
Oh, okay.
Right. And so clothing was kind of cool as a kid, because if I could dream it and kind of come up with a concept, she will create it for me. Oh,
wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. So I had all these like, as a kid in elementary school, I had all these like random dresses. It was like playing dress up for
very customized.
Photos. Every year you have those photos.
Yeah.
So she would come up with a custom dress, something that I dreamt of in my head. So I would come up with these crazy like Barbie doll like dresses, like pink poofy dresses. I'll have to show you some. Yeah. It's pretty embarrassing. Ones with like giant flowers on the front.
So you weren't satisfied with what was bought at a store. You had to make your own stuff.
Yeah.
That is very creative. I will admit that.
And it's not like we had money to go buy me brand new fabrics, right?
Right.
So she would have scraps and leftovers from her workplace when they would make patterns. She would bring them home, and from there I would put the fabrics together and we would try to make an outfit from those scraps.
That's cool that your mom, supported your creativity, but also like helped nourish that side of it too as a kid, especially as a kid.
Yeah,
right?
It was very fun for me.
She didn't like stop you from, being yourself, really.
No.
And as a matter of fact, she participated in your creativity, which is really awesome. And she let me
have like crooked hair because I thought it was cool. I used to have like zigzaggy bangs because I thought they were cool. I don't know. Yeah. So
what went wrong?
She nurtured that. I think what really went wrong was, we grew up with very little money. So I think, security was huge.
Yeah, right? That took priority.
Priority.
And to be fair, as a kid, you could play, right? That's playing around.
Yeah.
And in their eyes, it's like, well, how are you going to do that as an adult and make money and survive, right?
Yeah, because keep in mind, back in the day, it was very hard to make money or a decent livable wage doing things that you like out of creativity.
Right. That wasn't a big thing.
It wasn't a gig-based economy.
Like it is today. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand. So, and my family, picking a career in my household, it was more like a whole big family.
It wasn't just a decision.
It wasn't just between my parents and I. You've met my parents. They're very chill, and at the end of the day, they just want to see me happy. But my grandparents and my uncles and aunts,
has to throw in their 2 cents.
Exactly, and I was getting pressured.
Yeah,
a lot of pressure into picking a field in the science field, something very solid.
Yeah.
So, I listened and I got there.
Yeah.
Right?
You did it.
I did it well, or still doing it well.
You're still doing it well. Yes.
Very well. But, I just felt like when I went home at the end of the day, like something was missing. Like something was making me unhappy. I couldn't pinpoint what that was. I mean, after going through this self-development journey, we pinpoint quite a few things, right? That was making me unhappy.
Mine was a short list.
That's because you're in denial. But anyway.
I haven't gotten past the first stage, right? Just acknowledging that there's some things that I got to work on. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And I realized that, I haven't been putting much time in developing my creative side, using my imagination.
And I think what's funny with that is you identified it because one of the questions I know we asked ourselves was, what lights you up, right? What gets you excited? And that kind of sparked, I think, a conversation about your creative side and how when you used to be a kid, you did all these things and, you were so happy, right, with doing those things.
And talking about it.
Even just talking about it. Exactly. Yeah. You don't even have to be doing it. You just imagine yourself doing it or talking about it and boom. I'm sure people can hear the excitement too,
Yeah. And I realized that's the one thing that, I haven't been doing, but it was hard because, I identified that I was missing my creative side or exercising that side, but how do I channel that energy into what? Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not a drawer. I don't draw. I don't sew. I wasn't sure where to channel this energy to.
Yeah. There's no platform.
There's no platform for me. I didn't know what to do with it. So it's like after you identify it and then now what?
Yeah, I think for you it was interesting because it's like, you're creative and you see these hints, right? As a kid, like you're able to use your creativity, but it's not like so explicit, like drawing or painting or playing an instrument where you know exactly what that thing is and you know how to channel it. You play an instrument, you go draw, you go paint, you do whatever, right?
Yeah.
But with you, it was like, I have all this creative energy, but I don't know where to put that energy towards.
Yeah.
You don't know where that was.
Yeah. And the other thing is, as a kid, I like to try a lot of different things. I was the kid that signed up for, every club to try it out. Why not try it out?
Oh, damn.
Yeah. I was very outgoing, but that was like younger days.
Sure.
Before high school. I did.
Even younger days, because high school, you're still pretty young.
Yeah. But, I did wood shop.
What?
Yeah.
You did wood shop?
I did. I was very good at it.
I can't imagine you doing wood shop.
Yeah. I did wood shop. I did... What else did I do? I don't know. All these little geek clubs.
Just random odds
just like
and ends.
random like just activities, right?
Just to try.
I played instruments, which I was terrible at.
What instrument? Oh, the piano. You said, yeah, that's right.
Piano.
You had lessons.
Yeah. I used to go to candle making classes.
What?
Yeah.
This is so weird.
I know, it's very...
I'm learning a lot about you now.
Yeah. And then
candle making.
Making.
What made you think to go and sign up for a candle making class? Not to knock anybody that's interested in candle making.
I don't know, it's fun.
Well, you were adventurous and you wanted to try it, yeah.
Yeah, and you can make like different colors and patterns. I think for me it's patterns.
Yeah.
That I like. I went to like a candy making class. It's just
I can see that. Yeah. As a kid, that's a dream.
Yeah.
Make your own candies.
Very random. I tried a lot of things growing up, just like random things. And I was always the child that would complain that I'm bored or
a lot. You get bored very easily.
Yeah, very easily. I always had to be, stimulated. I always have to be doing something, my dad would drive down the street and I would demand him to pull over so I can go into this random shop that I saw. You know, and I realized that as an adult, I stopped doing that. I stopped taking adventures as much. You know, even through college.
Yeah, there was that period of time.
I remember I used to discover. I used to go around to LA and, you know, discover my neighborhood, but I just kind of stopped. It was just, life became a routine.
Yeah.
And I didn't make an effort to discover anything new anymore.
Right.
And I realized that if I could just somehow link creativity with just discovering things and just trying new things, I may find something that I really enjoy, right? And I kind of think I did.
Yeah.
You know, I have projects on the sides now, side projects that I'm working on where, you know, it lights me up because I get to use my creative side, and my imagination to come up with an actual product
or a design or a
concept. Yeah, and it's really exciting. So that's the one thing that I realized that I was missing in my adulthood that I had as a childhood that I wasn't exercising.
I think a part of that too is like why does that happen, right? Why do we lose those traits, you know? I mean, one is you're getting more mature, hopefully, and also because we tell ourselves that we don't have time for those things, right?
Yeah.
And we don't, like you said, make it a priority. Kind of life takes over, you know, we got to pay bills, we got to worry about if for people that have kids, all these other responsibilities as an adult. And then you kind of put those things like creativity or whatever passions on the sideline, and you'll tell yourself like, oh, well, I'll just do those later when I have time. But the thing is, it never happens, right?
Yeah.
Unless you make the time for it.
Yeah. Well, in my situation, I was just complaining I'm tired. And I didn't.
Well, you did a lot though. To be fair, that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, yes, my days are very long.
Yeah,
very long.
It was in your case. I think there was a real reason for you to say I don't have time, right? Because you were volunteering, you were working, and you were taking classes at the same time, right?
And not even that. That's school days, but even after I was done with school
as an adult,
when I was just working.
True. Yes, like you get drained.
I was working a lot of hours, but my excuse for not trying anything new was because I was tired.
Yes, that's true.
But then, I realized I was wasting so much time just, you know, watching Netflix.
I know, right? We tell ourselves we don't have time, and then we would discover, like, actually.
But then what I realized is that once I ignited this passion, I suddenly have energy again.
You find the time, and you don't even feel like it's work or anything like that, right? It doesn't
feel like work. And I find myself getting so excited for my passion project that sometimes it's like 1 a.m. and you're like, aren't you sleepy? And I'm like, no, but I gotta finish
this, or I want to keep working on this. I know.
Or wait,
that's so cool though.
I have an idea. I need to do it because I'm gonna forget.
Yeah, but it's a great feeling, right? It's a different kind of tired.
Yeah. So that's something that I realized I identified that I was missing as an adult, and I kind of brought it back.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we all hope for, right? I think for me, one of the traits that I would love to, and we've been working on that as well, but like as a kid, you're fearless, you know? Nothing scares you.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's necessarily the best way to approach life going forward as an adult, because you do have to be smart with risk and all that. But like as a kid, you don't let fear stop you, right? From doing something that you're curious about or that you enjoy. You just go for it. You know, I think like as a kid, I would play with bugs. I would play in the backyard, capture lizards, right? Run around. You could go on like different adventures with your friends. It's similar to you, right? Like exploring and going on an adventure. And that's, I think, why we love traveling so much as an adult. But not being afraid of just going for something and doing something, or talking to people, like one of the biggest fears that I had for a long time was being afraid of interacting with other people and speaking in front of a group, right? Doing public speaking. And I think when we were doing the work on self development, I discovered that it was because of some traumas that I had as a kid with public speaking. So, for example, and then you know this story.
It's a therapy session for Will.
One of the stories was in junior high. We had a science project presentation that I was supposed to give, and I really didn't want to do the damn thing. Because you got to stand up and you got to present your project to everybody, right? And I was sweating, at my seat because I knew I was next to get called up. And I was really, really praying that like something bad, like a catastrophe would happen. Not like nobody getting hurt or anything, but like, oh, please let there be an earthquake or let there be something so that I don't have to go up there and present my damn project. Yeah. That's how much anxiety I had about public speaking or like, putting myself out there in the first place. And I didn't want to do it because I was afraid like, oh, I'm going to mess up or I'm going to freeze or this or that. And of course, when I got up there and it was my turn, that's exactly what happened. I froze, right? I was speaking, I was like shaking, nervous as hell, and I froze. And what made matters worse was that my peers, all the class kids, they were all laughing, right? They're like, look, he's freezing, blah, 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 blah. Kids are mean.
Yeah.
Kids are damn mean. But anyways, but I think the worst thing was not only were the kids laughing, my teacher was laughing too.
That's terrible.
Isn't that crazy?
That is
like
terrible.
He was laughing. It's like, what's wrong with you? Like, you should have, how come you didn't come better prepared? Which, I mean, I did practice. It was just like when you're up there, you kind of go blank, right? Or at least that's what happened to me. But he was like, what's wrong with you? How come you didn't prepare? And he kind of like reprimanded me instead of like understanding the situation, like recognizing, hey, like this kid's getting humiliated right now or like feeling that way. Mm-hmm. I should probably protect him and just be like, oh, hey, look, it's okay. Why don't we do something else, right? Find a solution.
Yeah.
Like be more empathetic, right? But because that happened, and I remember afterwards, I was just like so embarrassed, so humiliated that I was like, when I sat back down, like, people were still laughing and this and that. And I just kind of put my head down, right? I think I was crying or something too as a kid. And this was like in 6th grade or something, like first year of like middle school.
Yeah. No, those traumas definitely carries on with you.
Yeah,
even
as an adult.
Into adulthood.
Yeah.
Like, when you and I, we come up with a project, right? Yeah. We're always very supportive of each other.
Right.
You're the one that wanted to do the podcast.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Initially. And I wanted to support you, but
you were very hesitant.
But I was very hesitant. It took quite a bit of time for me to muster up this courage to actually go through with it because
and you had to feel safe, right? And comfortable doing it too.
Yeah, but even though it's so crazy because there's literally no one in front of me to criticize me. But then yet I had this fear of a kind of like a flashback fear of, middle and high school where, I was getting made fun of my voice.
Uh-huh.
Right? I know.
That sucks.
Yeah. And, they were kind of like mocking the way that I was, that I talked or just like, because I'm very expressive.
Yeah.
And very like.
You're like a little ball of energy too.
Yeah. And I was getting mocked for that. So my biggest fear is putting out this podcast and the same thing happens over again. It's like, and then it kind of like, oh, there you go. It solidifies it.
Yeah,
and that's one of my biggest fears is just to feel like this kid again.
Yeah.
Right. Getting tormented for being who you are as an adult. So that was very terrifying. But then, I decided, okay, what the hell? I'm an adult. I'll just be vulnerable and just put myself out there and, support you on your journey.
Yeah.
Or our journey now.
Yeah.
By doing this and just getting over the fear, and contrary to belief, we've gotten very just positive feedback.
Kind, amazing responses. Yeah.
And, it's really helped with my confidence, because I realize, hey, those limiting beliefs are just in your head.
We create them.
Yeah, and just because it happened to you, a negative experience happened to you, before, doesn't mean that it's going to occur again.
Or that defines you, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times the people trying to tear others down, at that age, it's also like immaturity, right?
Yeah.
They might look back now, hopefully as an adult, and, they don't act the same way, but it's like, it is very damaging, and they don't realize it, because that is.
I don't think they knew. They didn't know themselves.
That's just kids being kids, right? At that age, being immature, but it does have a lasting impact on us as adults. It carries over, right? And it's crazy when you start doing work into discovering your wounds and your traumas and the things that kind of lead to who you are as a person today.
Yeah.
Right? Good and bad, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sorry you went through that. That sucks.
No, but it's okay. I'm happy that, I was able to get over that, right?
Sure.
Because it makes me realize that, okay, everything else that's holding me back, I can work on it. And,
it's all in our heads.
It's all in my head.
And we have control over it too.
Yeah. And even if it's still true.
Yeah. Or someone makes a bad
comment about it, or, I can always work on my tonality.
I think,
right? It's something I can always work on.
Yeah. And I think too, is as we get older and you build tougher skin, right? Mm-hmm. You build thick skin. You also learn to not take things so personally, and being welcome to have people give feedback, but also if it's haters or people that are like criticizing just to be mean, mm-hmm. Like those people don't matter anyways. So it's like learning not to take things personal from that perspective,
Yeah.
To brush it off and focus on the people that do matter, the people that do, right, support you and enjoy your content or whatever you're putting out there.
Yeah. I welcome constructive criticism.
Absolutely. That's how you get better.
Right? Because that's how you get better. And you can always improve.
Yeah.
With those feedbacks that we get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be people that will be mean just to be mean, just to try to tear others down. But what we learned is that it's not even about us, right? Or the people that they're trying to target. It's really about them, right? Yeah. At the end of the day, it's coming from their own insecurities.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I'm super proud of you, working.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I know that was a huge step for you to put yourself out there, to put your face out there, your voice out there. And, especially I think with a podcast, it's very intimate. Mm-hmm. We're sharing our thoughts, right? And our opinions. And sometimes
our experiences.
Yeah, very personal things. But also I think when you're sharing your opinion, it takes courage to do that. Because everybody has an opinion, but not everybody will vocalize or express it in different formats. And, when you put your message out there and your opinion for the whole world to hear or see, you will get people that disagree with you. And that's totally okay, right?
Yeah, everyone is entitled to their opinion. We're not saying that everyone needs to agree with us.
No, and you learn, right, through that. At the end of the day, it's okay to get that out. You're doing it for you and the people that you connect with. And that's totally fine. There doesn't need to be anything beyond that,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's huge. I think those are big steps towards self-improvement for you. And, the other thing for me, the other trait that I was really feeling like I would like to have more as an adult is that sense of curiosity, that as a kid, just you question everything in the sense of like, you're hungry to learn, right? You're hungry to discover, like you said, how do things work? Why is this way? Why is the sky blue? Or what, you know what I mean? I remember when we were kids, my siblings and I, this is so nerdy, but like we used to write like book reports just for fun. Like we would pick a topic. Let's say we picked, squirrels, for example. We wanted to learn more about squirrels. And back then, of course, we had encyclopedias. So we would read encyclopedias. We would do research at the library. And then we would each come up with our own little book report on that subject, on squirrels, for example. How do they, where do they live? How do they grow? Right.
You're such a nerd.
But it was because we were curious about a subject, and then we would just go and try to like learn everything about it, or if we were curious about a specific, I don't know, like a game or something like that, we would just try to like, we would immerse ourselves, and really, really just go in deep and learn and discover as much as we can. And I feel like as an adult, I lost a lot of that. I stopped, like same thing like you, discovering, stopped questioning and being curious, because I felt like for some reason I learned through growing up as an adult, these learned habits were just do what you're told almost, right? Because this is the way that it's done to have a certain result. So therefore you should always do it this way. Don't ask why it's done that way. It just is, right? Things are just as they are, and don't question it.
Yeah.
It's like you conform, right? And I lost that sense of curiosity. Well, why do we have to do it that way? Is there a better way of doing it, right? Mm-hmm. Or just same thing, like discovering other things beyond what I do for my job. Because sometimes as an adult, that's all we spend our time doing, is the one thing that we get paid for, right? Our job, and that's it. And I never spent any time or effort to really look beyond my specific industry or my specific profession to see what else is out there. What else can I learn, right?
But some of the people that are top in their industries, they're the ones that usually likes to draw from other industries and bring it to their industry.
Yeah, those are the best in the field. Yeah. Absolutely. They're the smart ones, right? They know how to bring ideas from outside of their industry, outside of their own company. Because sometimes when you are only looking from within your own company, your own circle, your own industry, you're looking at the world from a very narrow scope, where it's very limiting, and you're never going to get exposure to other ideas. Even if it's a completely unrelated industry, sometimes that's the best thing you could do.
Yeah.
What are they doing in that industry that's not even closely related to us, but that's working for them? And how can I take that same philosophy or system and apply it to my industry?
Yeah.
But more so with the curiosity side, is just like asking those type of questions, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just felt like as an adult, for some reason, we just stopped being curious about the world, right? It's almost kind of like we have our own little lives, right, to worry about, and that's all we focus on, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
We don't fit in time to explore and to be curious anymore. So I would love to have more of that as an adult, and I feel like this year, especially you and I, we've done a much better job of really, going out there, especially now, like 2020, when there are so many like new things to discover and capabilities, technologies, right? Things that could really benefit us and help other people if we can have an impact, right? Mm-hmm. But are we actually spending time looking for those things, learning about those things? I feel like this year we have done that a lot more.
Yeah.
And our perspective has shifted. It's grown too. It's expanded.
Yeah. I think after this year, I will always incorporate learning, continuing to learn and expand my horizon as one of my top priorities.
Right. Committing to lifelong learning. Yeah. I think that's the thing.
Because that brought so much joy, and just like it sparked something.
It makes it interesting again too.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I realized is that, as I read more books on
different
things and some of the greatest inventors, right, in the world, what I do realize that they do have some commonalities. You know, a lot of these people, they use their imagination, and they dare to imagine and dream very big.
Right.
And that's
dare
how
to dream about the impossible.
Yeah, the impossible, things that does not exist yet.
Right.
They dare to dream big, and they're committed to making whatever that dream work
into a reality. No matter what people say too.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's huge to be able to do that.
Yeah. Like cars wouldn't exist.
Right.
In this world, lights wouldn't exist. Cameras wouldn't exist. Like nothing would exist if those people didn't have an imagination and dare to dream.
Right.
Outside from their norm.
Yeah. And to not let people stop them from dreaming big.
Yeah.
Right. Because that is very easy. Right. A lot of times, I think, especially when we're younger, we don't have our voice yet. We don't have maybe that confidence to speak for ourselves. We don't really know exactly who we are, what we want yet. And we might not feel like we have the ability to speak against societal norms or elders, right, who have more wisdom than we're, or more life experience, and our dreams might die right there at a very young age before it's even started.
Yeah.
Which is very sad.
Or you get steered into a different path.
Someone else's dream.
Yeah.
Could be someone else's dream, right? You're living someone else's ideal, and it might not fit with you. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just not right for you.
Yeah, because, as a kid, I was always a big dreamer, right? Even if I didn't have money for something, I will make that work. I joined drill team, and, they're like, okay, the bill is $3,000. And I was like, my parents can't afford $3,000.
It's a lot of money back then.
It's a lot of money back then.
A lot of money right now.
Right now. And, as an immigrant parents, like they could barely even keep up with rent. Like talk about $3,000 for you to go, dance in pom-poms. I was like, get out of here.
Right.
That's fine, because the uniforms are very expensive because they're all tailored.
So you had to come up with a way to make that money for yourself.
Yeah. We went to the same high school. What did I do?
Oh, this one was very entrepreneurial at that age, even. She was selling chocolates.
And lollipops. Candies, just candies.
Yeah, but it's not just, and a lot of kids did that, right? But you were entrepreneurial in the sense that you were basically like having little minions run around for you and sell the chocolates for you, and then you just collect the money.
I sold chocolates too.
Okay, fine. You were in the trenches a little bit too, but you had little minions, and everyone was like teasing you for it too. It's like, wait, you had that person sell for you, and then what did they get in return? You're like, my gratitude or something.
No,
Did you cut them in?
No,
I think you did.
I gave them some chocolates, some candies, and it's so easy too, because it would sell out by like first period, and I was very strategic. I would pick people that were in different classes.
Yeah, and you knew the person that you chose also was very
trustworthy,
but also somebody that people would probably buy from, right?
Yeah.
That weren't afraid. So you hired them basically.
Yeah, and I was very smart because at school they had seasons, like different periods. Like it's probably like a couple weeks where everyone would sell candies. But then I got smart, and I was selling it when they're done. With their couple weeks, so that way the demands were a lot higher.
Yeah,
and I made my $3,000.
You also did some stuff with like eBay too, didn't you?
Yeah, I had
when eBay was really new.
Yeah, that was in college, like freshman year of college. So I used to go to like sample sales at that time. And
what's a sample sale?
Like a sample sale is when the designers, let's say, after they're done using their samples, they'll sell it for cheap, like $5-10, whatever it is. And back then, designer jeans were huge. It wasn't, it's not like it didn't go on sale like it would now. To buy a pair of designer jeans, it was always $150 plus.
Yeah.
Back then.
And this was what, like 10 plus years ago.
10 plus years ago. So the designer jeans thing was like a new craze at that moment. I remember 7 Jeans and Hudson's. Oh, and actually, I knew at that time, I knew the VP of Hudson's.
Okay.
So, I was getting a couple of like discounts to buy like it at like cost price, wholesale price. So I was buying a bunch of those jeans, and then I would scour these sample sales and buy a bunch of designer jeans for sample sales, like $5-10 designers, like just samples. And I was putting them up in my eBay store and making like $40-50 profit per jeans.
That's pretty cool.
And that was my college gig, well, part of my college gig.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I was doing tutoring sessions. So I would book like students like in the same block, and I would knock like 3 students out at like one driving session.
Yeah.
And that's how I had a little like that's how I made my money in college.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you think about that, that's pretty creative too, right? So you were actually using some of your creativity without even realizing it. And then obviously afterwards, once you got full time into your job, right, that's when things kind of started going downhill in terms of using the creativity.
Yeah. I kind of lost that.
Because you didn't have to, right? You just go to your job, put in your hours, right?
Yeah. I kind of lost that entrepreneurial like passion and drive.
Yeah.
But then
you didn't even know it that's what it was called, right?
No.
It's just something that made sense to you, and you
just
went for it, you know?
Even before college, I've always wanted to go into business, but I got steered into something else because business was not a safe route. But which is crazy to me because, in my family, even the people that were successful in business were steering me away from it, right? I think for them, like the journey was so hard that I think they wanted something easier.
They didn't want you to go through the same pain. They probably know better than anybody else, right?
The uncertainty, but that's also
the
excitement.
Emotions.
Yeah, and I would always tell my mom like I want to go into business, and my mom's like, she kind of caved in at this point, right, with her siblings and my grandparents and all of that, because she had some pressures to live.
Sure, of course.
So she caved in, and she's like, yeah, you can do your business stuff like once you have a stable career, stable job. But then, I listened to her because she's my mom.
Yeah, and you're young, right?
And I'm young, and I'm like, I probably don't know better, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to regret
making
the wrong decision. So I listened. And then, once I had a stable career, I started making excuses like I'm tired. And then I never...
Well, there was no more time, right, for your business at that point, even though that was the plan.
That was the plan. And then, and then this whole self-discovery and self-development started happening. That's when I realized, hey, maybe it's time to put this knowledge and this creativity and this drive back where it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Bring that back out again. Exercise those muscles again.
Yeah.
Because it's still within you. It's been dormant, right, for such a long time, and you haven't had a reason to use it.
No.
You haven't had enough of a need to use those skills.
Yeah. It's gone through some atrophy.
Yeah. But it's nice because what we're discovering is, kind of bringing back our natural talents and our natural traits that we had as a kid, and our strengths, rediscovering those strengths. That's actually helped us even more, right? From all parts of our life, whether that's business or income or happiness and fulfillment. I feel like we've made very big progress these last 6 to 12 months. Just from going through that process and rediscovering ourselves, which doesn't happen by accident, right? I mean, it takes a lot of work, and you have to actually go searching for that, and I think it's funny because it's like you don't really go down that path of self-development or self-improvement typically until you almost kind of like hit rock bottom in your mind, or like there's more pain from staying where you're at than making a change, right? Because sometimes the thing that holds us back is our fear, right?
Yeah.
Like we were saying.
Yeah. And it was very scary too, to just, to sit there and kind of write down what are your limiting beliefs. It's like you
have to face yourself. That's why
I was almost in denial.
Oh yeah,
I didn't want to do it.
I know.
And then to kind of dig deep through years and years of trying to find a reason why things shifted, the way it did. It's hard.
Super hard, because you have to face yourself, and you have to be 100% brutally honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And when you're honest, it's being honest about your weaknesses. It's being honest about what you're not good at. And nobody wants to hear that. And sometimes I think our own ego gets in the way, right? It's like, no, I'm pretty good at that. No, I'm this or that.
Yeah.
But
because you know what? I think it stems from childhood too, and the school system, because you always had to feel like you have to be good at everything. Right? Because if you weren't good at it and you didn't meet the standards, you're considered, you get judged, you get
labeled,
or you get a bad grade, or
right,
because if you didn't fit into that mold, then you weren't accepted.
Sure. Well, and then you're constantly being judged by, they assign a letter to your grade, right? Like it almost like in your mind you're like thinking you're assigned a certain value, and if you don't do things a certain way or perform, your value as a human being is lower, right?
Yeah.
And that's such a negative thing to think about and associate. It's so wrong, right?
Yeah. Because you could be great at other things, or they just need to nurture it a little bit more.
Right.
Because everybody's different.
We all have strengths and, different talents, and, not everybody's going to be academically successful, or that doesn't resonate with them. They might be very talented and intelligent in other ways. Emotional intelligence, right? Physical intelligence, social intelligence, right? There's all these things, but I think the limiting factor, and we're not bashing on schools, right?
No.
Like education is really important and
very
all that,
important,
right? But I think one of the limiting factors is that it can be very narrow, right? It's kind of built around measuring one type of intelligence.
Yeah.
So, but I think you hit it on the head with the dreaming big. For some reason, as we get older, we do stop dreaming big. We do stop believing that anything is possible, right? And then we're taught one way or another by society or whatever we learned through our experience growing up that we can't do something. Instead of we always focus on, well, I can't do this, I can't do that. Instead of, like, when you're a kid, it's like, I'm just going for it.
Yeah, just go for it.
There is no, you can't do it. You just do it, right? And I wish we could get that back more.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's also not being so like outlandish that it's like unrealistic either. You can't be like,
you have to be realistic. Like,
you can't be delusional either.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a billionaire and I make like $5,000 a year,
I'm gonna be
like that,
a basketball player and I'm 5 feet tall with no athletic build. Yeah, it's not happening for me. Yes, you can
dream
big, but be realistic. But that's the great thing about being an adult, right? It's that you can.
It's finding a balance too.
Yeah.
Right? That's pretty funny. Yeah, I think those are really good traits, from childhood that we, for us personally, that's what we're working on, and that we want to bring more of to our lives as adults. And, we've seen that really help us in our lives every day.
Yeah.
Right. Do you think there's any other traits that people, maybe could adopt or that you think might be helpful or that helpful for you beyond those?
I think, as a kid, you're not jaded and you're not beat down by life. And I think that brings fear, like some type of fear of not daring to dream big or to go out and try something, right? If we can kind of take that away and take a step back and realize that, there are a lot of nice people in the world. And there are a lot of great opportunities in the world.
Yeah, it's changing your perspective, right? Like from scarcity to abundance, that there is plenty for everybody.
Yeah, we don't all need to be competing against each other, right? And I think that's one of the traits that, being a kid can be valuable as an adult is that they're not jaded yet.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, right, because you get beat down, you have negative experiences as an adult, and sometimes that can prevent you to lose your passion, to lose your drive, to look at the world from just a negative lens, which is very dangerous and damaging because it can kill your ability to want to do anything else, or maybe even to improve yourself. And that's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to be very careful, I think, of that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think we notice that, especially when you hit burnout, when you burn out, we can all turn into that person, right? Of just being very negative.
Yeah.
But that's why it's important to really identify, what are those traits? Okay. Takeaway, you think?
Yeah, I think if you're currently feeling stuck or unhappy with where you are at, I think it'll be helpful just to uncover some of the past wounds that you've had and kind of identify some of the root causes that are causing you to feel that way.
Right.
And kind of work on it.
Yeah, because you need to know what are the issues first, right?
Yeah.
You got to discover what is actually the problem, and then we can spend some time and actually focus on those things.
Yeah. Like just be very honest with yourself.
That's hard, man. That is very hard. That's so funny though that you said, like, when we were trying to do that exercise and write down like all those things, right, of weaknesses and what limiting beliefs you think you have, like how you're like, I don't even want to do it because I don't even want to face it, right? Yeah. It's true. It's so true. It's so hard to like,
and it's hard to read back on it too.
Exactly. I remember like, you completed it and then we had each other read each other's. You had me read it too. You're like, here. And I was like, oh, wow, you're being very vulnerable.
Yeah. And it's hard to read back on it and kind of relive those things.
It brings back those feelings, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially even right now, like when we're talking about like the old versions of ourselves, those insecurities, it brings back like you get a little bit of goosebumps, right?
You kind of shrink a little.
You shrink back. I'm like, oh, just talking about like, because now like I'm super comfortable being able to have an interaction. I love like talking to people, connecting with people. I have no problem like, speaking in public anymore. Yes, I still get nervous and butterflies. I think that's pretty normal for most people. But once you get going, it's fine. But like, I still think back to those days where, oh man, I was so nervous and it was the worst thing in the world, right? To have to stand in front of a group and speak, and so like, you're right. It's very difficult not just to be honest with yourself, but it's also difficult to relive some of those moments that caused a lot of pain,
Yeah.
But it's also very critical that we do that, right? We spend time doing that because that's the only way we get better and move forward and get past it. We wouldn't be who we are today and have all the progress that we've made if we didn't have the courage to face ourselves and our own insecurities. As difficult as that is, it's a great exercise. And I think we encourage everybody to take some time to do that.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'd love to hear, what you guys think. What are some traits that you would like to regain from your childhood?
Yeah, share with us.
Share with us. You can obviously find us on Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating and a review if you feel so inclined. And we're also on Instagram and YouTube with our videos. You can find our handle at Magnetic Mismatch. And
we release a new episode every Thursday.
Yes, so we do. In. Yep. And if you enjoy the content,
make sure you share our content.
Yes, with everybody else.
And subscribe to our channel.
Yes, please do. All right. That's it for us.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.